You wake up, go to work for 8 hours, 5 of which are spent doing nothing. You come back home, you make dinner, you walk the dog, and you sit down to watch Love is Blind for the 15th time. And I wonder, is that all there is to life? Survival and streaming? In this age of soulless content and so many contradictory rules on how to live correctly, there's very little out there helping us to get out of survival mode. So we tend to lose the connection that we are supposed to have with our creative self. And that's what the whole point of this channel is. How do we reconnect to that? How do we find our way back to that creative person that we used to be? And when you find your way back, what do you do with that? How do we take care of it and nurture it and protect it? You had that in you and you know it. When you were a kid, when you were a little bit younger, you had that power to retreat into this safe space and just dream. And it's very difficult to come up with ways to be creative while at the same time trying to survive in a world that doesn't value creativity as much anymore. A world that has pushed AI into the mainstream, where creatives are exploited for free labor, and their art has been devalued to the point where it's basically impossible to make a living from it. A world where art is seen as something to be automated, like a factory line. But you can't do that with art because art is about saying something. Number 1, have a message. And that's the first thing that you need to understand to stay creative. Dig deep inside you. Find out what it is you want to say. And it doesn't have to be incredibly transcendental. It doesn't have to be this epic, life-changing message. It just has to be something that comes from deep within you. It just needs to be something you want to say. So don't stop yourself from making art just because you think your message is not important enough. There's validity in your message being a life-changing lesson, as well as it just being entertaining to someone. You just want to be funny, you want to sing, you want to paint a pretty picture, and that's perfect. That's all it needs to be. But you need to figure out what it is that you want to say, and then your art is going to mirror that message. Do you want to talk about your politics, your feelings, your lunch? Do you want to talk about your favorite city? It doesn't really matter. I mean, it does to you, but whatever it is, once you find it, it's going to make it easier to take the next step, which is, how do you want to say it? Number 2, what's your medium? What do you want to use as a delivery format for this message? Why is the medium important to remaining creative? Well, honestly, because it's fun. It's fun knowing that, for example, if you want to make music, then it's fun to know that you can go into a music store and mess around with the guitars just to see what they sound like, or go online to research what your favorite musicians use and then hit the city to see if you can find that. If you like to paint, then you can go to an art supply store. If you're into writing, then a stationery store or one of those places with the pretty notebooks would be perfect for you. Notice how I keep saying that you should go outside. And I can't believe that I am saying this, but you do need to leave the house. The internet shopping experience is very curated. It's very safe. You go in, you look for what you want, and you walk out with it. And that thing shows up at your door in 2 days. When you go to a store, there's 1,000 things that could happen between your house and the store. Once you get to the store, you might find something in there that you didn't even know existed. And now you can try something new. Maybe now you can give it a go with a different technique, a different instrument, a different writing implement. And all of this helps. All of this stimulates creativity. And that's number 3, inputs. Inputs are what I call the experiences or activities that you do that teach you something new or enrich your knowledge, like studying a painting or listening to a new album by an artist that you don't normally listen to. When you come in contact with a new input, your output, the art that you're able to create, is going to change. The more you enrich your capacity to see the beauty in the mundane or your ability to see the opportunities in the new, the more your mind will be welcoming to possibilities. The more you change that input, the more you're going to change. And this sort of change is interesting, and it will always set you on a new journey. The Beatles did this on their trip to India in 1968, and it changed the way they made music. When you change your input, your environment, your habits, the sort of art that you can produce will be forever altered. Number 4, play. In order to stay creative, you need to give your brain time to relax. There's a lot of pressure to be constantly productive these days and to be always doing something for financial gain in order to be considered like you're adding something to this world or like you're putting something in it. And it is toxic and it's killing us. A lot of people are stressed beyond their physical means because we don't know how to sit back and relax. And I have an entire video on how to relax when you've forgotten how to relax. I'll link that at the end of this video so you can watch that next. Don't worry about it right now. Yay! But you need to give your brain time to recharge. When you go to the gym, people who are experts at gym, not me, always say that you need to give your body time to rest, to process the exercise before you hit the treadmill again. But you need those rest days. Your brain works exactly the same way. Creativity is very similar. If you're trying to squeeze out any sort of creative output from you and you don't give your brain time to relax or play a video game or take a walk or read a book in the meantime, it's going to clog your ability to produce that output. It's a lot of pressure. So much pressure, in fact, that it could once again end up breaking that connection with the creative self that we've been talking about. So you need to understand that play and relaxation, while not being productive activities as defined by, 21st century capitalism, are necessary. They are incredibly necessary. Play, relax, and for God's sake, sleep. Number 5, steal like an artist. You see this in every artistic endeavor out there. Stealing like an artist doesn't mean copying. It means you take inspiration from work that has already been produced, and that is completely fine, necessary even. You can't reinvent the wheel after 50,000 years of human history. Everything we do stands on the shoulders of giants. That's how we learn. We can't learn everything from scratch and we can't reinvent the wheel. If you like someone's book and you like to write books, go ahead and write a similar book. I'm giving you permission right now. It doesn't matter if it's too similar. What matters is that you get those flight hours on how to use your creativity to do a thing. And that sort of experience is all that matters because, like I've mentioned in previous videos, the more you do a thing, the easier that thing becomes. The more you use your creativity, the easier it's going to be to access it. One last thing. You know these artists you admire, the ones that make the stuff you love and maybe someday would like to make yourself? A really cool exercise to do is to research what these artists stole from. For example, one of my personal heroes is Calvin and Hobbes creator Bill Watterson. And his heroes were George Harriman from Crazy Cat and Charles Schulz from Peanuts. If you look at those comic strips, you can definitely see the influences. There are a lot of bands nowadays, and I'm old enough to know, there are a lot of bands nowadays that list Nirvana as one of their influences. I was there, Gandalf, when Nirvana was touring. And back then, I believe that Kurt Cobain said his influences were like Pixies and the Stooges and the Velvet Underground. So if you're a musician, if you're a young musician trying to emulate Kurt Cobain, give Pixies a chance. See where you end up. Because by emulating and once again altering your input, you're going to become a collection, an amalgam of the things you enjoy. And that's going to help you light a creative fire under you. This world is actively trying to box you in. Most jobs related to the arts are underfunded and underpaid. They've even got AI coming for you now. So these days, being creative is an act of rebellion, an affirmation of what it means to be human. However, being creative doesn't mean you're constantly creating something or monetizing the thing you're good at. Sometimes it means that you're outside, laying on your back, looking at the clouds and saying, wow, that really does look like an elephant. I want to see your projects. I want to hear what you're up to. Link your stuff below in the comments. Let's get this ball rolling. You want to make something for people to see? The people are here. We are the people. Let us see it.